Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker, this is Times Radio.
Well, joining me now to have a further look at today's papers is the barrister, broadcaster and futurist Andrew Eborn. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, James. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Let's begin with the King and his health.
Yes.
What was your reaction when the news broke last night?
Well, it was extraordinary. I was at the Magic Circle where King Charles is a member, and we were having our close-up competition. So the news broke whilst I was conducting the various interviews. And, I mean, it's a shock. And you'll see in the announcement from the palace, they said His Majesty has chosen to share his diagnosis, basically to prevent speculation and in the hope that it may assist public understanding for all those around the world who are affected by cancer. And every family around the world will know somebody or have somebody directly involved in that. And what's happened, a lot of people have come out with sending their good wishes. Immediately, world leaders, and even Donald Trump said that he's a wonderful man who I got to know well during my presidency, and we all pray that he has a fast and full recovery. We've got the Archbishop of York saying a bit of a shock for all of us. And what happens is you've got all of these people. And what I admire about it, Charles, he went in for this prostate procedure, which we all heard about. And to his credit, he's been very public about that. And as a result of that, a lot of people have come forward and got their own diagnosis and so on and so forth, and make sure they're getting checked. He's been very, very open about that sort of side. But this particular one, what they're saying is he was in for this procedure just over the road from me here in Regent's Park, and he was in for this hospital procedure for a benign prostate enlargement. And it was a separate issue of concern. They don't talk about what sort of form of cancer it is, but they do say it is that separate issue. But as you say, it is such an important story, and it dominates all of the headlines, not just here, but around the world as well.
Yeah, and I thought that Buckingham Palace's statement last night was particularly fascinating because historically, they really do not comment much on the health of a monarch. Back when the Queen was still alive, if she was unwell, the most we would get told is that the Queen is resting. And it was only really that statement in the hours before she died, when they said that her doctors were seriously concerned for her health, that we ever had anything more than the Queen is resting when she was poorly. And now we have this from the palace. And even though they have confirmed the cancer diagnosis, it is still pretty vague. I mean, we do not know what type of cancer he has been diagnosed with. I just wonder if you think from a communications point of view, Andrew, that is a sustainable strategy anymore for the palace, or will that just heighten speculation?
Well, I think it is, I think, as you say, they allow the sort of privacy. And it is interesting, the timing of all these things, because obviously we had the Princess of Wales as well. She was also at the London clinic having her own procedure. We don't know what the details of that. We had the previous Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, as she's popularly known, talking about that sort of side. More and more royals are coming out and talking about their own health issues. And actually, it is inspirational. Information is power. And the more that people can share information, encourage others to get diagnosed, the better. I work with an organisation called Science with Soul and also Caroline's Law, which is basically encouraging people to share information with their relatives, because prevention is better than cure. You have things like the BRCA gene, for example. If people know about that within their family, then they can also ensure that they themselves go and get tested, because it will encourage people to get an early diagnosis. And one of the things that His Majesty says is that he's pleased that he has basically learnt early on that he has this cancer. As I say, it came up as a result of the other tests that he was having. And what happened as a result of this early diagnosis, the chances of treatment and the effectiveness of that are so much better. So I have to say it is inspirational for the King to use his position and to talk in this way. We've already seen, as I say, the increase in tests for things like prostate cancer. Awareness is so important, and all credit to him and the other royals for talking so publicly about an incredibly difficult thing. What I also think is good as well, however, is that it might reunify Harry and William and the various others within that. Apparently, Harry's going to be flying back to see his father. William's going to take on more commitments. And the palace is saying, look, Charles is wholly positive. So this sad, terrible, terrible news will hopefully reunite, at least or go some way to reuniting the family.
Away from the discussion around the King's health, we should talk about this new YouGov polling for Times Radio that's been released this morning, showing that voters remain unconvinced by both Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. I think what I take out of this, Andrew, is that maybe some of the discussion that we've been having around the election has been pricing in a Labour victory too much. There's this assumption that because they're 20 points ahead at the moment, they're on course for a majority. Well, David Cameron was 20 points ahead a year out from an election in 2009. He didn't end up winning an overall majority in 2010. And given Labour suffered such a heavy defeat in 2019 and they have to gain so many seats if they're going to get an overall majority this time around, maybe it is still all to play for in this election. What's your reading of this polling?
Oh, it's so sad when they're talking about apathy being the big winner as candidates failed to excite dispirited voters. And Labour's got a 21% points over the Conservative, but the YouGov survey, fascinating insight from the Times, all congratulations there. They found that less than 25% of voters would be, in inverted commas, delighted to see Starmer in Downing Street. And a lot of it boils down to trust. They always say that trust comes in on foot, but leaves on horseback. And if you like, it's an all-time low for trust in politicians and various other things. But what was interesting, the turnout last time for the election, if I remember rightly, in 2019 was 67.3%.
Which is relatively high.
Yeah, exactly. If they get that, I mean, it's slightly higher the previous time, it's 68.8% in 2017, and all the way back in 2010, I think it was about 65.1%, which is again relatively high when you look at that sort of stuff. So it's wrong to say that apathy's winning. The majority of people do go out and vote, but we need to be inspired. And they say that governments don't win elections, basically, or parties don't win elections. It's governments that lose them. And what we need to do is get people in a positive frame of mind to turn around and say, look, these are the policies that people want to vote for. These are the people we believe can deliver, and get people inspired on that sort of basis.
I do wonder about turnout at the next election and what the percentage will be. I think the lowest in recent decades was 2001 when 59.4% of the electorate turned out, which is pretty low. You do wonder whether, given the general sense of apathy at the moment, could be lower still, but we shall see. Let's talk about one more thing, Andrew. And you mentioned earlier you were at this Magic Circle event last night.
Yes.
King Charles himself is a member of the Magic Circle. Just tell us about this.
Oh, it's a glorious thing. The Magic Circle was founded in 1905. The best magicians in the world are members. And we had a stellar guest list with Shirley Ballas was there, Ian Wrights. We had Alex Scott and Jess Glynn together. And it's basically the close-up magician of the year. It's held every year. It's the glittering jewel in our glorious crown. Henry White, the brilliant Henry White, he was in third position. Tim Sutton came in second. And a winner we had from Kent was 38-year-old Chris Harding. What I love about it, we have members from all over the world, from every walk of life. And as I say, King Charles himself is a member. And you have to basically, as you know, I've been an examiner for the Magic Circle. Charles himself had to do an exam. And there's a glorious picture in our wonderful museum of Charles with his cups and balls. And that's what he had to do, demonstrating that. And he loves magic. We celebrated our big centenary and various other things. And Charles is always very, very supportive. He does little videos for us and that sort of side. But it's a real feel-good story. Magic is a great unifier. And as I say, it brings people in from all walks of life. So many congratulations to the winner of the Close-Up Magician of the Year. It was wonderful to see so many people last night. And as I say, a star-studded gallery of people.
Andrew, always great to chat. Thank you so much.
A pleasure to join you, James. You take care.
As barrister, broadcaster and futurist Andrew Eborn.
Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio.